Calling all stations. Clear the air lanes. Clear all air lanes for the big broadcast.
Our top story tonight, this week in the O.J. Simpson trial. After grisly photos of the murdered Nicole Brown Simpson were shown in court, O.J. turned his head away and wept. It was at that moment that he realized he would never be able to kill her again.
Can you imagine that Tony Blinken or Miley? How's that guy a general? Jesus. The other day, he said that the Bagram Air Force Base is not strategically important. I wanted to grab his, what do you have, 5 stars, 10 stars, 12 stars? He has so many stars that come into his ears. I wanted to grab his stars, shove it down his throat and say, "It's 400 miles from China, asshole!"
Cute. Your sister's boss gave me a microscope that would have made me retarded.
Ooh, oh boy, Rick. I don't think you're allowed to say that word, you know?
Morty, I'm not disparaging the differently abled. I'm stating the fact that if I had used this microscope, it would have made me mentally retarded.
Okay, yeah, but I don't think it's about logic, Rick. I think the word has just become a symbolic issue for powerful groups that feel like they're doing the right thing.
Well, that's retarded.
Hannondale, Florida. Jed, good morning.
Yes, I'm from Atlanta originally, and so I like to read the Atlanta Journal-Constitution online. And it was very good for me when the snowstorm hit because I could keep in touch with my family. And the only thing is, it's quite distracting sometimes. It's quite distracting because you got all the other tabs and various shit going on and zombie midget porn and
Joyce is up next.
Did you hear? School's canceled today because Kurt and Ram killed themselves in a repressed homosexual suicide pact.
No way.
God!
The football season is over, Veronica. Kurt and Ram had nothing to offer the school but date rapes and AIDS jokes.
Sure. Could we make an ice run before the funeral?
If there's any way you can hear me, Kurt, buddy. I don't care that you really were some pansy. You're my own flesh and blood, and no, you made me proud. My son's a homosexual, and I love him. I love my dead gay son.
How do you think he'd react to his son that had a limp wrist with a pulse?
Gavin Newsom is still governor of California.
Governor. Hello, Governor.
Despite a real half-hearted effort by the GQP to try to get him out of there. And they ran this guy Ellard,
Isn't it Elder?
Elder, sorry. Yeah, I'm thinking of an old linebacker for the Vikings. Sorry. Yeah, this guy was, okay, okay.
Yes.
He's a black man, and one of his positions was that slave owners should be paid reparations because they lost their property. So it's kind of a hot take. Kind of a hot take on the whole slavery
legal,
thing.
man. It was legal.
Yeah.
They weren't doing anything wrong.
And it was their property, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did not win. He did garner 33%, 32% of the vote, something like
49.6 of the Republican vote.
Well,
now,
yeah.
people, I just heard a couple minutes of, I didn't catch all the names, a guy who got 8%, who, even from a Democrat, was saying if they were going to put somebody up, this guy would have been far better. Then it was this guy's campaign manager said they didn't really have enough time, that when it came down to it, the actual campaign time was pretty short. And this Elder, who's a conservative talk radio host, so more people knew his name, is probably how he ended up there. That and a lot of the people in that party are just misguided these days. Misguided is a nice word. Not nearly what I mean, but I'm going to.
What do you mean? Come on, you can tell me.
Flipping nuts.
Okay. Well, the whole recall process is freaking nuts because it's loaded against. I mean, he won by what, like 62% of the vote, 60-something% of the vote. We won very handily, but
Oh yes.
yeah. But even so, I mean, it's the recall process as it is in California is so messed up that somebody could win. What could have happened is the vote was, instead of separating the vote and having a yes or no vote on the recall, and then after that happens, if there is a recall, then having an election, even just like a quick run up, like a 30 days or something. And instead of that, it's all on one ballot. So it's yes or no on the recall. And then if yes, then who do you want? But the incumbent can't be on the ballot. So that also means that the party didn't really want to run anybody who would be seen as a legitimate. They wanted him. He's their guy. Okay. Newsom's their guy. So they didn't want to run anybody against him who might actually win. So, yeah. But it could have happened that one of these people could have won with like a very small sliver of the vote because the vote was spread out over so many candidates.
And there's something about the incumbent needing to have 50%. I didn't listen to it. And if they did not, then it could go to the competitor. I kind of wish we had it here. I would have gone door to door to door for signatures.
It's just being used as a tool again by the Republicans because they thought they could. Well, I mean, actually, one way to look at it is they got what they wanted, which is they could cry foul. In fact, Elder was crying foul, and whether this was a mistake or not, but the day before, hours before the day of the voting, I should say, long before it was called, even before.
He started that before they were voting. He started it days before.
Oh, it was days before. Okay, but it went up on his
yes.
website that the election was fixed and fraudulent, and yeah, before it was even over. He might have even won. Well, I guess that was Trump's deal too in 2016. He did the same thing. He was saying that it was because he expected to lose, so he was crying that it was fixed, and then he, I guess, won, and he instead of saying oh no, it's not fixed, he stuck to the story that it's fixed. Only this time it's 3.5 million more votes that came from illegal aliens who were voting. Had to be that.
Yes. Okay, now with illegal votes, it's been 6 months in Arizona. I could have counted those by myself in that amount of time.
Not at the same expense to taxpayers, though.
That's true. And I probably wouldn't have taken time to look for the Chinese watermarks and checked out for the space lasers and all those other things that, of course, influence.
The Jewish ones, right?
Did you hear what, I believe it's Pennsylvania now where they want to do the same thing, but that's not good enough. They want the personal information of the people who voted.
There's no way that can be misused.
No. Shouldn't that just be absolutely straight up, unequivocally illegal?
I think it probably is.
But yet they may end up getting it.
Yeah, I think we're at the stage. Trump sort of set the precedent of let's just do it. Fuck it, let's do it, and then let them sue us, and we'll drag it out. That's how I guess that's where we are now with politics. Just do it, let it be dragged out, and then if they decide, oh yes, it is illegal, oops, my bad. But it's already done.
I'm kind of thinking that all of these people who voted for these ridiculous charades should be the ones to foot the bill. Don't make the taxpayers pay. Now, if you are a taxpayer who voted for it, y'all just put money into a fund, and that's where the money comes from. And if you run out before it's done, find more donors or call it a day, my friends.
And maybe a GoFundMe. That would be a good thing.
Go fund the charade.
You know who got about 1% of the vote in California?
Caitlyn
Jenner, yeah.
She might have gotten 2 if she spelled her name with a K. I'm still over that.
Branding. That's stupid. That's just bad. That's poor branding.
That's what I have said from the beginning. You still want to be part of that whole, what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, they're big
charade.
Business. No, but they're
starts with a cluster. Starts with cluster something.
They are big business. There's a lot of money in that family.
Oh, yeah.
She wants to be part of that. Start your name with a K. How hard would that be?
I saw Caitlin's video. She just was perplexed. It's just shameful. It's shameful that Californians did this. But you know what? You get what you deserve. Like, wow. Just you really thought that you appealed to people, right? More people saw Can't Stop the Music than voted for Caitlin, I swear. Live theater's coming back. Broadway's coming back.
Yes,
Broadway's back, baby. That's right.
And so to celebrate, they're doing a big television show.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think did we speak about this before, or am I imagining that?
I just saw the ad.
Okay.
The promo for it today.
Where they're promoting the reopening of Broadway and
yes,
doing performances from. It's a good idea.
It is.
They normally do that in Manhattan. They do I forget what it's called. It's like Broadway, but it's like a Sunday. I've been there. It's actually pretty cool. It's like a street fair, like if you know New York, you know street fairs. I mean, there's during every day of summer, during a normal summer, I should say, they're everywhere. But it was kind of like that, except they had stages up and people performed. Broadway performers performed, selected songs from their musicals to promote them.
Mm-hmm.
Gave away, little paper fans and stuff like that. Fun stuff.
This will appeal to the masses.
Even straight guys like Broadway. Trust me.
Well, yes.
I mentioned to you that I passed Matt Stone on the street when I was walking to work one morning. And
yes.
And turns out he's in town. He and Trey are in town because they're relaunching the Book of Mormon. They're
yes.
Tony Award-winning Broadway smash hit that's probably made them more money than South Park has, which is crazy, but it's a cash cow.
I was going to bring my son when it was at the Lead Center.
Mm-hmm.
And then I heard a little bit more about it, and at that time it would not have been appropriate.
Okay.
So I decided against it.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's an adult now.
Yes, now it would be fun. Then it would not have been a good idea.
Yeah, it is a funny play, but yeah, not for the kiddies.
No.
It's funny.
I think at 13 and 14 at the time, sometimes things can just get awkward. Sitting with the parents of an opposite gender, kind of regardless of what you've learned in school or conversations you've had. Mm-hmm. When you're sitting in a big theater full of strangers and all these things are happening, and it would have just been a bit much then.
Yeah. No, it's like accidentally watching the dirty parts of a movie in front of your parents or with your parents. Like, oh, shit.
Yeah. We have a deal where even now we both just look away. just because.
It's not happening. And just wait.
Well,
wait till the music ends. And then...
We know that it is, but, who's going to laugh first, or is somebody going, oh man, that's not how it's done. Wait.
Uh-oh.
How do you know how it's done? Wait, what? Nothing. It was in a book. What?
I have HBO.
Yeah.
But, kids these days don't remember how groundbreaking HBO was. Home box office, it was called. Do you remember when this started? Prior to HBO starting, they showed movies uncut. And that included R-rated movies, which included swearing, and nudity, and all these terrible, awful things. But we had never seen those on television before. On any sort of, there was no cable, there was no streaming, there was nothing coming into our homes. The F word didn't come into our homes.
It was so vulgar.
We brought it in from the streets, but it never came in through the electric tubing until HBO. And it was such a big thing. I remember they had like a month free for a trial period. And I somehow talked my dad into getting it at the end of that, into subscribing. And it was
wow.
Boom. Yeah, suddenly we got R-rated movies.
Is it that old?
It was 76, I believe.
Trombones in the big parade?
76 or 77. You know what was on the first several months or first year or whatever? They didn't have very much. They were licensing, so they basically played 5 films for the entire month. So they would play one movie all day. It would be on a 12, and then 2, and then 4, like a movie theater.
Yes.
And so you could, if you were really into something, you could just watch it over and over in the same day. It's like, oh shit, I'll watch this again. Monty Python and the Holy Grail was on, and I watched the shit out of that movie when I was 13, I guess. Yeah. 13. Oh boy, what a life-changing movie for me.
Monty Python.
Oh yeah, I mean that was just so much different from any comedy that I was aware of. I wasn't aware of their show yet, the Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Yeah.
I don't think had been on yet, or if it had been on, I was still too young for it, so I don't think I'd seen it. But once I did, forget about it. And I've been fortunate enough to meet 3 of the Pythons in my time. Terry Jones, the late Terry Jones, excuse me, Michael Palin, and Eric Idle.
Holy buckets.
Different scenarios, all but yeah, love the Pythons.
Well, I had told you about when we would have the Sundays where we went and worked at one of our friends' house, and a couple of the people, primarily Beef, would cook. And then we would all sit down and watch a Python movie while we ate. And then Paul would bring his guitar, Paul the Show Phillips. And
nice.
we would, yeah.
Yeah, so sounds great. No, I love all of their movies. I mean, they're...
Now I'm on a trip down memory lane. Those were a lot, many good Sundays doing that. And we did some serious work in this house. It wasn't like, just if you could paint that wall. I'm talking, we put in a huge header through a window, huge beam. Okay. Oh, we just did all kinds of stuff. Tore out walls. It was great fun. Take a load off, Fanny.
Okay. And now, on our stage, is Rock and Roll Combo. It's taking the world by storm. The band.
And you heard, my son told me today, comedian Norman, why I can't think of his last name, I'm not sure, passed away.
Norm MacDonald passed away, yes. Norm MacDonald was 61 years old.
I just thought it was too young. Cancer.
Cancer.
I haven't said anything.
Well, here's the thing. Here's a thing. Norm, the last few years, I'm a huge fan of Norm MacDonald, by the way. He was what they call a comedian's comedian, which is like all the comedians love him. They may not be the hugest. They may not have gotten, like Seinfeld popular, but you talk to any comedian, like, who were the funniest guys? And they're going to say him number 1 all the time. Him, Gilbert Gottfried is also a comedian's comedian. Dave Attell is a comedian's comedian. Anyway, over the last few years, he had done a couple of shows. He did a couple of TV shows or internet shows or whatever. And he looked kind of bloated, right? His face looked kind of bloated. And everybody snarked about him, assuming, half the people assumed that he was an alcoholic. And it's like, it's finally getting to him. He's finally looks like, all these years of drinking finally caught up to him. And the other half were, he's on some prescription drugs or he's addicted to something or other. It turns out he's fighting cancer all this time, and he probably was on steroids, and that's why he was bloated like that. And it's like, all these, myself included. I mean, I just assumed. I was like, oh, geez, the guy's looking pretty bad. It never even occurred to me, that he was battling this. Yeah, just a funny guy. He's best known for Saturday Night Live when he hosted Weekend Update, and possibly coined the term fake news because he used to say that. See, this is the fake news. And for better or worse. It's
these days
yeah, I think it took on a life of its own, but
didn't it?
He didn't like authority. He didn't respond to authority very well. And the guy in charge of NBC at the time was this guy named Ohlmeyer, who happened to be the guy that started Wide World of Sports, and he also happened to be close friends with O.J. Simpson. And
now that's
this was
something you want to put on your resume.
Well, he was quite proud of it, and he was like a stand during the whole, what do you want to call it, murder trial. He was behind OJ 100%. Now, Norm on Weekend Update started making OJ jokes, and really, the punchline was just that he was guilty. Every joke had that aim to it, and at one point, Ohlmeyer sent word that he was to stop doing that. And so he amped it up and just did even worse jokes and more to the point jokes, and eventually got fired by Ohlmeyer for doing that. And
Well.
yeah. Then he strangely had Norm back the next season to host the show. And if you've never seen his amazing appearances on Conan O'Brien's various shows, The Tonight Show, Conan O'Brien Show, Late Night, whatever. He was just one of the all-time greatest talk show guests. And that, in its own way, is like an art. I mean, there's a few people who really got that, like on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. Charles Grodin was a perfect guest. He did a character. Right, and that was the talk show guest was a character, and same thing with Norm, was he did this character, and Conan was basically the foil all the time. If you get a chance, if anybody listening gets a chance, it would be a great place to start with a deep dive of Norm Macdonald, Conan compilations, really funny stuff. Every night I'm walking to Port Authority, and I walk through the streets of Manhattan, and somewhere close to Madison Square Garden, somewhere in the 30s, right? There's this big billboard. I've been seeing it every time for a new Clint Eastwood movie.
Yes.
You've seen it called Cry Macho.
Yes.
Which, first, let me get this out of the way. It makes me furious when a title is grammatically incorrect. He Got Game, Spike Lee. Eat Fresh, the Subway, Credo.
But He Got Game would be how it is said.
But we don't have to encourage saying it that way.
Well, no.
Do we? How about if He Got Game and then in brackets SIC, which shows that you're at least acknowledging that it's incorrect. I'd be happy with that. But the poster is this huge bill. It's the side of a building basically, and it looks really cool. It's kind of a 3/4 silhouette of Eastwood with a cowboy hat, and he looks like spaghetti western Eastwood. All right, circa 1971. That's what he looks like. So I'm thinking, this is return to his roots. It's a western. He hasn't done a western in a few years. He's the guy's up there. He's in his 80s, I guess, but he's pulling one more out of his hat, and I thought, okay, great. And then today I finally break down and watch the trailer, and it's not that at all. He's an old guy who wears a cowboy hat. That's all. It's not a western.
No, he got hurt. He used to ride.
He used to. Okay, well I know.
He
There's stock footage at the beginning of the trailer of him Bronco busting or whatever. But
and then he says he's just kind of old and broken.
I was hoping for more Unforgiven. Do you remember Unforgiven?
Yes.
That's what I'm looking for him to do, that because that was kind of his returning to his roots, and it was a pretty violent western. It won the Best Picture, actually.
Yes, but this is
he won director too.
I respect the fact that this is an acknowledgement on his part that this is who I am now. This is what I can do. I'm not going to go out and pretend to be something that I simply cannot be anymore. I'm going to acknowledge that those days are gone. I can still be a good actor and I can still tell a good story, but it's just going to be in a different way.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I think that to me the trailer looked a little sappy. So I don't know. I mean, people enjoy that, and he makes sappy movies sometimes, and people love it. $1 Million Baby, remember that one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did not like that one, but the dude's made a lot of movies, and I love most of them, so I enjoy him. It really would have been cool. It's probably past the expiration date now, but if he had played the old Batman from, do you know The Dark Knight Returns?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Not the movie, the comics. Yeah, this comic series that Frank Miller did. And
Okay, think about it.
you might know this.
No.
Stuff like this sort of seeps into the popular culture or the popular consciousness. So even though it's a comic book, it sort of rose above that. So
Not saying
Anyway.
because it's a comic book it was bad, but I wasn't.
but you're not a comic book reader. I get it. No.
Since
But-
the Archies and Scooby-Doo, those, I think, were the last of my comic books.
Well, nothing wrong. I think they're still
Not saying
making
there's
them.
anything wrong with it. So, no, when you say there's nothing wrong, but of course there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that
No, I love the Archies too.
my way changed.
But anyway, it was a comic book series, like a 6-issue arc, where Batman was old and retired. He's a human, so he ages, unlike Superman. So he's, I think, probably 70, something like that. And the Joker escapes, so he comes out of retirement. But it's realistic because he's old. Even though he's got, like, he kind of makes himself a sort of an armored suit, he still is an old guy and, is subject to the frailties. It's a really great modern novel, I guess you could call it that. But it's a pity that Eastwood didn't get a chance to play. Not that he would have, but he would have been perfect, I think. Yeah. So Nicki Minaj. I don't know if you follow Nicki Minaj
Yeah,
on Twitter.
I don't, but I know what she did. Apparently,
it's-
Tuckums
Why are we
was
even
trying to hunt this
talking about
person down. 'Cause he'll go there. He said on his show, he'll go there
Yeah.
to interview them, but oddly, they can't find this person.
She tweeted that people shouldn't get the COVID vaccine because her cousin in Trinidad has a friend who got it and his testicles blew up. They didn't explode, literally blow up like firecrackers, but they got big and inflamed, and it was so bad that his fiance actually called off the wedding.
Well, he became impotent.
And he became impotent too, and she called off the wedding. Now, what probably happened right there is, as most people chimed in very quickly on Twitter, is the dude had, if this actually happened, this wasn't just a totally made up story, which is certainly likely as well, but if it actually did happen, dude got an STD, and his fiance said, "See ya."
I'll go now.
Yeah.
Well, and apparently having COVID itself can keep the noodle limp.
Mm-hmm.
So the other part of it, who knows? But that's
Not the
so
vaccine.
ridiculous.
But not
No.
the vaccine yet.
No.
In fact, even Dr. Fauci, this is the world in which we live right now, that this is the timeline that we're living in. Dr. Fauci actually spoke out about Nicki Minaj and corrected her publicly. That's
Yeah.
where we are now. Nicki Minaj is a, musical artist, I guess.
Didn't she do
This-
the one movie with Jennifer Lopez and the gals where they were exotic dancers? Because she had done it in the past. Well, not her.
Oh, you're right. Well, Burlesque, was that what it was called?
No.
No.
Burlesque
Glitter?
is Cher.
Glitter. That's Mariah Carey.
Carrie.
Gee.
I couldn't tell you.
Okay. I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah.
Nobody would accuse her of being a great thinker, Nicki Minaj. She makes Cardi B look like Richard Dawkins. She's not.
Or was it Cardi
Really?
B in the movie?
No, I think Nicki Minaj was. I don't think Cardi B has made movies yet. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Which one of them wasn't it? Isn't it Cardi though, who had been an exotic dancer in the past?
Yeah, and she also claims, that she used to turn tricks and rob the guys.
Oh.
She was bragging about it until someone pointed out to her that that's actually illegal. I mean, it's a cute anecdote to tell, but now that you're, famous, you probably shouldn't tell that story anymore.
Thinking a whole lot of the guys aren't probably going to come out of the woodwork and say, "She got me, man." You realize that what you did was also illegal. You get that part right?
Well, yeah.
What? I think it was Cardi in the movie, but that's
Oh,
on another tangent. We'll have to check that.
I think Nicki Minaj did a movie. Let me look this up so we can
Yes.
put this.
Jennifer Lopez, look at it there. Jennifer Lopez stripping movie. But do you remember how doing that ruined Demi Moore? And then that Elizabeth Berkley, who had been on Saved by the Bell,
Yeah.
her career was beginning to do something. And she did one, and that just took her right off the radar also.
Well, that is because that was a horrendous movie, Showgirls. I mean, they repackaged it. It was so bad that people started treating it as if it were an over-the-top comedy, which it certainly wasn't intended to be. But people started treating it that way, and then it eventually got a cult following because of that. And then they embraced it. Then they were like, yeah, that's what we meant. Like, no. You did not mean that. Hustlers is the movie.
Okay.
Jennifer Lopez, J-Lo, Jenny from the block, as we call her. Don't see... Okay, let me find the cast here.
Apparently, according to the new book, Peril, by Bob Woodward and Robert Costa,
yes,
Donald Trump screamed at Paul Ryan for condemning white supremacy. There are all kinds of little snippets.
Yeah, I believe that.
And the civil suit with E. Jean Carroll is going forward.
It is, despite Merrick Garland's best attempts to squash it.
I don't know. I was just chattering while you got all the names of the ladies.
Oh, no, I got it right here. It is Cardi B, in fact.
Yep.
Yep, I see it right here. Wow. I didn't realize she's been around that long. This is 2019.
Yeah, it's not old.
But I swear that Nicki Minaj... Let me put in Nicki Minaj stripping movie. See what happens there.
Paul Ryan was convinced Trump had narcissistic personality disorder. Ah! Well, that's news, isn't it?
Wow. Stop the presses.
Speaking of tripping.
Yeah.
So, today's recycling day, right? Right. Normally, bring it out on Wednesday night. If you forget, you can get up early enough on Thursday morning. Set my alarm for 6 or 7, get out there, and then I don't hear the thing till 10 or 10:30. I'm like, I'm not doing that today. Set the alarm for 8 o'clock. Go out there. Start hauling it down to the curb. See that the neighbors has already pushed back. Dang it, I missed them. So I haul it back up. Now I've been trying to edge the lawn, which hasn't been done in probably 4 years.
Uh-huh.
So you can't just run the little edger right down the side. It's quite a process, and an unpleasant one. So the edger's out there, and the very long extension cord didn't pick my foot up. Got my foot caught in the cord. On the concrete.
Oh no.
A little bit of
Where'd you land?
On my hands and my knee and my shoulder.
Oh no. You okay?
Yeah,
I'm banged up.
Scraped up in a few spots. Oof. So that was, instead of insult to injury, it was injury to insult. But it was one of those times. Nobody else was around. I might have said Scheisse in English. And just kind of got up, looked at my hands. I'm like, and you know how bad it stings? It just stings. And I came back downstairs.
Yeah.
And decided I'm just going to hang out in the dark for a little bit. Because by this time it's already light upstairs, and that was not going to make me happy.
Ooh.
Just kind of sat there. So it stopped.
Oh.
Oh, well. That's the worst thing that happened to me all day. I'm all right. And it was, so I'm okay. You know what they say in Python, don't you?
What's that?
Well, they sing it, actually. They don't say it.
Always look on the bright side of life.
Exactly!
You know, that song has been played at more funerals than, like, any other song. I don't know. I just made that up.
That's interesting.
But, yeah, but like 83% of all statistics are made up. So there you go.
83% are?
Yeah.
And apparently, Kim Jong-un has lost weight. They had a midnight military parade, but they didn't parade the big warheads out.
There were rumors that he died not too long ago, and have we seen any photos of him? Any like real photos of him like posing with today's newspaper type of thing? Yeah.
No, but that's how they showed him in, believe it or not, kind of a tannish cinnamon nutmeggy colored suit, the usual long jacket. Yeah, there was that whole weekend at Bernie's time where people were propping him up and he always had sunglasses and he looked like a corpse. He really did. I mean, when do you parade them out, that almost created more speculation, I think.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced. I got to see
Look him up in his nutmeg-colored suit.
Oh no, I know, I'm sure, but how do we know that wasn't taken 2 years ago? What's there to say that it was taken today?
Because he's thinner.
Well, maybe he was thinner at one other point.
He's always been a jolly-shaped little fella. He's not a very big guy. How tall is he?
He's a little guy. No, officially, I think they would say he's like 6'4", but he's probably about
5'2",
maybe pushing 5 foot. Yeah, he's little.
Yeah, he's critically challenged.
Not horizontally challenged, though.
He does look a lot better. I mean, he could still drop a few more if he wanted to look really healthy. But does he have kids?
I don't think so, no.
I don't think so. Now, what do they do as far as transfer of leadership?
He just never raped the right woman, I guess.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Well, his sister, that wasn't the deal that his sister was taken over? Wasn't that the rumor that he was dead and his sister was taken over, but they wouldn't let a woman take over. So they were pretending it was some other guy. I don't know.
There was pushback.
Mm-hmm.
Serious pushback.
Well, didn't he have his other brother killed?
Yeah.
So
I believe so. Which makes it tough.
Yeah. If I'm the sister, I'm thinking, okay, all right.
And an uncle. A little poisoning in an airport situation.
Yeah.
And yes, ABBA is coming out with another album.
Yes, ABBA or ABBA, depending on whether you're me or you, I guess.
I usually say ABBA. I'm not sure where
I say ABBA.
Yeah, I don't know where.
Avocado, yeah. But,
yeah, see, it is
so
avocado.
ABBA,
but yes.
They've announced what? They've announced their first album since '94. How would that be? 30 years? I'm not good at math. It would be many years. And they're also going to do well, first of all, they released 2 tracks from this new album. Boy, people were just going crazy over these. Millions of people downloaded these tracks immediately. Did you listen to them?
I have not.
Okay. I found them horrendous. I'm sorry, but I did. And I'm not against ABBA. Don't get me wrong. They're certainly my favorite band whose name is a palindrome. I'll say that. I like SOS. I like that song a lot. I like a couple of other songs. When I was little, what's the one? There was something in the air that night. Is that Fernando?
The Stars. Yes.
Yes, Fernando. When I was a kid, and I know you probably didn't have this problem, but there were very few songs with my name in them. With Lee. There was 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. Right? Drop Off the Key, Lee. And that was it. Basically it. But Fernando, I swear, when I was a kid, up until, I'd say a month ago, I thought the line was, the line is, something in the air that night.
The stars were bright.
So were bright, Fernando. Something. I thought it was for Lee and Pete, but it's for Liberty. Liberty, because they're Swedish. Whatever. So you can't say liberty. They say Liberty. All this time, I thought it was, I'll count that as one song that my name's in.
No.
For Lee and Pete. I figured they probably knew some people named Lee and Pete. They just name checked them in the song. It wasn't completely
common
reasonable.
Swedish names.
Bingo. Lee. Yeah. Or they. Yeah.
Are you serious?
I'm totally serious.
I can't even.
Yep.
Oh,
for Liberty. Who says Liberty anyway? Nobody.
ABBA.
Swedes. So they're going to do a virtual tour. They're going to have holograms of ABBA do this tour.
I just have to tell you that even Buddy picked his head up. He's just like, seriously?
Are you serious? Holograms?
No, it was about the Lee and Pete part.
Oh, the Lee and Pete. There was something in...
Oh, just don't even. His sweet little, his little sweetness, it's too much.
I mean, you probably had...
Yeah.
You didn't have
Proud
the same
Mary.
problem. You had Proud Mary? Sure, you had...
And
Mary, Mary, that's the Monkees song. There's a lot. There's probably a lot. That's our point here. I'm just.
There might even be a Mary in Macarena.
Okay.
There's one. Why can't I think of it? Super fun song came out. Dang it. Un momento, por favor. Why? What is super fun song? Mary Moon.
I don't know Mary Moon.
She's a vegetarian. She's a... Yeah, you do.
I feel kind of like a pitcher who had their no-hitter taken away because they changed the rules.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. I'm still gonna say Lee and Pete. And in the as a bonus, it was half of my last name too, so.
Yeah. One of my friends, her daughter was quite young. Some song, something, she has skills. But my friend's daughter was, again, quite young, thought it was she has Skittles. And I'm trying to think, another youngster, my little sweet pea. What other song thought it was Catch a Cold? What was it? Chemicals. The Chemicals.
Okay.
He thought it was To Catch a Cold. I heard him say that. It's like, what? Wait, what? It was so cute. I didn't want to say anything.
If it makes sense, then it's fine, right?
It didn't really.
If it makes sense to a kid.
When he figured it out, it was like, okay, I didn't think that made sense, but okay. It's going to be 94 degrees on Saturday.
Uh-huh.
The football game is at 2:30 in the afternoon.
Ooh, sunscreen.
Well, yes. So the stands won't be real full, I don't think.
No.
Usually on those really hot days, the crowd is thinner. Understandably so.
Yeah, I would think so. Although, go Big Red. That should trump everything else, right? I mean, your loyalty to Big Red should be...
Well, things have changed a bit.
They don't have the fan base anymore, do they, that they used to have? Or do they? They must have.
They do, in a way. Your loyal fans are your loyal fans, but last week, for the first time in years and years, it would not have been a sellout. And they've got 276, 376, something, I don't know. More, just ridiculous amount, more than any other school. So they just made a couple quick phone calls and some donors bought, it was, I want to say 2,000, 3,000 tickets. But they gave them to underprivileged youth, so it really was a wonderful thing.
Okay. So some kids will get to see a game. That's good.
Yes.
Yay.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like watching Oklahoma or UCLA or Wisconsin or Michigan, but they still got to be in the stadium and have that experience. So that's fun.
Nebraska isn't on the national stage anymore, right?
No.
I follow them not too much, but...
We don't carry the same prominence right now. No. Used to be.
Why is that?
Not right
I
now.
don't know. Why? Was it happened or was it gradual?
It was gradual. And there was a lot of, just so much changeover. 2 or 3 years, there wasn't the security. Frank Solich, who just retired, was the heir apparent after Tom Osborne. And he was doing pretty well. And anytime you get a transition, and I mean, come on, Tom Osborne was phenomenal.
Wildly popular. And for a long time, too, right?
And deservedly so.
I mean, he coached for a long time. Didn't he coach for...
Yes.
Yeah. I only remember 2 coaches, Bob Devaney and Tom Osborne. That's all I remember.
And
I left when
Bill
I was 20.
Jennings.
That's after I'm gone.
That was well before
right.
you were. That was well before.
That's before Devaney. Okay. Well,
Yes.
see, Devaney was...
It was...
my first memories were him.
Yes, Tom Osborne was an assistant coach under Devaney, and then he took over and he was 37. He was quite young. He's just such a steady personality, and he knows the game so well. And you don't want to say he commanded respect because he just deserved so much respect. Just in the way he conducted business, in the way he is as a person. So Frank was there for a few years, and there's going to be transition. Recruiting is going to change, and every coach needs a bit of time to build their own program, even if you had been an assistant. Well, then they brought in a new AD from someplace that didn't understand Nebraska, and they just started messing with things. And I want to say after 4, maybe 5 years, I'm not real exact today on much. They did let Frank go, which was not a very good idea. Then they started bringing in people from the West Coast, and they brought a guy in who had coached in the pros who wanted to completely change up the program. Well, with all of these changes, your recruiting strength goes down. Plus, then the NCAA made some ruling on recruiting that you couldn't go outside this area and you couldn't recruit this way and that way that had been how recruiting happened for ages. Well, if you're in Nebraska, you get some great, strong kids, but we don't have the number of players that Texas does or California or Florida. And so some of these policies really mess with recruiting. But all of these changes, when a student signs with a particular coach to a school, you're signing not only with that school, but with that coach and that coaching staff and their style. They're the ones that give you, I don't want to say game plan, but the game plan, the plan for where you fit in their program and how they see your development progressing and what they want to do with you. Well, when you don't have that security that that coach is going to be there the next year, you're not as inclined to sign. So we lost, I would say, probably some really good recruits just because of inconsistency. I think because the kids coming in and their parents, you didn't know if the person you were going to sign with was going to be there the next year. We lost out. Plus, they brought in people who didn't understand Nebraska.
And they also changed conferences, right?
Big 8, Big 12, Big 10.
Big 12.
Yeah,
now they're in none of those, right?
We're in the Big 10.
Big 10, okay.
Which, yeah, more money. But the sad thing about that is, in the Big 12, it was Kansas, K-State, Iowa, Oklahoma,
Missouri.
Now, there was Texas, but places that people could drive to in a lot of ways. And now it's fly here, fly there. And people just can't do that as much.
So who else is in this conference, the Big 10?
Rutgers, Northwestern.
Oh, wow.
We are Penn State. And I never get to hear them do that, though. Wisconsin. Thus, I'm not as interested in it, to be honest with you. The competition is tough. I'll tell you that much. That's another thing that happened. The competition in this division is tough.
I grew up, obviously, there, as you did, too. And, I mean, it's like the state religion, really. On Saturday, you watch Big Red. But it seemed, I mean, there was...
football games, the stadium becomes the third largest city in the state.
Right.
It's still the joke. And it's over
crazy.
90,000 now.
Wow, yeah. That's like 3 times as big as our hometown, which is the third largest.
Actually...
Well, now it's bigger. But when we were growing up,
it
was
50 now. It's almost 50.
About 30, 35, I think, from when I remember.
Don't know.
When I was a kid. Yeah, that's what I tell people. And then I looked it up and it was like 50.
Woo!
Damn immigrants, right? Immigration's just out of control.
Do you know how many stoplights there has to be to accommodate 50,000? I'm trying to remember if there was even a roundabout or two last time I was there. There might have been. I like a good roundabout.
I just remember the tallest building in our hometown was 11 stories.
Really?
Yeah, the Yancey Hotel.
Oh, didn't they turn that into condos?
I have no idea. It used to be a whorehouse from the lore.
Oh.
A brothel, and a house of ill repute, if you will.
I remember hearing that about the dorms for the business college. The girls are I don't think it was a real business college as much as I'm going to say like secretarial, which is a word we don't use anymore. And there was on the back of the dorm that if the light was red turned on out there, visitors could approach.
What do we say instead of secretary?
Assistant. An executive assistant, yeah. Secretary is a word long gone.
Now, why is that? I'm just curious. I mean, there's the words that you can't use, and the list just keeps getting bigger. And like, for what
is this
reason
when we
is
pull the
secretary
replacement song, You Ain't Nothing But a Waitress in the Sky?
Oh, exactly. A waitress.
No, for flight attendant.
Yeah.
What did it used to be? Stewardess.
Stewardess. What's wrong with that?
And now it's flight attendant.
I mean, I get the problem with the genderizing of the name, or the gendering of the name. Steward, stewardess, but you could just call them both stewards. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with the word steward. It describes the job, right?
I don't know.
I'm kind of, as long as it doesn't get to the point of ridiculous, if a word really begins to seem outdated, let it go. But I think people who are assistants now do quite a bit more than perhaps was done in the past. And so the name had to change with the position.
Okay. Assistant doesn't really sound that empowered to me. It's like you kind of exist in relation to someone else that you're working for.
Well,
it isn't, you know what I mean?
It's how it works. And then it can become
verb.
associate.
Okay.
Or associate, depending upon how you prefer to pronounce the word. And when did divisive become divisive?
It didn't. Well, that would be the British.
There are a lot of Americans you watch on the news stations and such, and people are saying divisive. I almost broke out my dictionary just to make sure I wasn't completely wrong. But I didn't. No. Because I know that it's divisive.
Because you don't have to. Yeah, right.
No.
Right. Only go for the dictionary when you have to.
Stand my ground.
That's right.
Applicable.
Speaking of
comparable.
Comparable. Oh, yeah. What's comparable? People say compare, right?
Yeah. Yes. What is it? Applicable.
Oh.
What's the wrong way? Incorrect.
I tried to say well, now that
applicable.
I think about it, I say applicable.
But it's applicable.
Applicable. Mm-hmm. Now, what if you're playing applique? What would you say then?
That's a whole other story, dude.